important. Like for what?
Do we need men? I'll see if I can run this back into the tape of my mind.
That's not what you said. You said, how do you feel about men? Are men important? Are men important?
Yeah, you said for what?
Okay.
And I said, well, like, would you need one would you need to marry at this stage of your life? Would that be something to do?
Well, I mean, it's not that I wouldn't want to do that. If I met the right man, I would certainly entertain the idea. I like men a lot. I mean, I have nothing against them. I think they're great. You know, I think that, this is going to get me in trouble with all the women, but I think that women make unreasonable demands on men, and they don't make reasonable demands of themselves.
What's that mean?
Because I think women have the capability to do everything that they want to do, anything that they want to do, and it's easier to try to
get it out of a
guy. And I just, you know.
Glad to see a woman who understands the flawed system we live in.
Peaceful.
And also, yes, being a lesbian is a sin. Okay, Roman says this. Roman says a woman. Roman, you need to repent. Angry lesbian.
These people are in an education system, but they can't answer a simple question.
Do you think you can change your gender?
Physically, yeah.
If you can change your gender, can you change your race?
No.
Why?
Because that's just how you're born.
Isn't your gender how you're also just born?
Yeah, I see where you're getting with, but right now we do have surgeries available to change gender. We don't have that for race yet. So maybe in the future that could be something.
Surgery does not change your bones or genetics. It only changes your physical appearance.
Hold on, you can't assume my gender.
But am I wrong?
Yeah, you're wrong.
Okay, but you're still a cis male.
How do you know that, though?
Got him!
Older people like you guys, you can't grasp the idea.
Excuse me, I'm quite young.
All right, buddy.
I identify as 19.
See, this is the argument that people keep pulling. It's not about that.
Why
if
is
people
that
want
not
to
a legitimate argument, though? Why can't I identify as a black person, but I can identify as a woman?
What? See, this is what I mean. Why is it harmful that people want to, like, identify as another gender? How does that harm you?
How does it harm you that I want to identify as 19?
It doesn't harm me.
Okay, so then why don't you accept it?
I didn't say I didn't accept it.
Do you accept that I'm 19?
If you want to say that, it doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't affect me.
So will you take back your statement where you said that I was an old man?
Kind of ironic that a white man is wearing a woman for Trump and a feminist for Trump when I consider myself a feminist. And
did you just assume my gender? You said white man.
Okay, I see your point there.
How do you know I'm not a woman?
I see your point.
You need to check your white privilege, your white female privilege, I think.
These kinds of things will never help anyone to judge their gender. Gender are categorized in two. Why these people are not understanding.
Now, I know there are guys out there thinking, oh, International Women's Day? Why don't we have an International Men's Day? God bless you, Twitter. Well, you're in luck, because you do. It's actually on November 19th. But you wouldn't know that because you're too busy celebrating it every other day of the year.
I feel like I'm losing my mind.
I am too, guys. I'm Primetime 99. I just want to say you guys are a poor representation of the youth of our nation. Let's go! Let's go, baby! I'm so nervous! Let's go crazy! I've never been booty Latina. Why is there any big booty Latinas that go to school here? What's wrong? You seriously insane? Look, this is the future. If this is our future, we are fun. Look at this! Oh, I mean, you guys are the ones that are scared of free speech. You have no reason not to like me. You should have been aborted. I should have been aborted.
Put that on your line. I triggered him. I don't need to say this is what I say. You should have been aborted.
I should have been aborted. This is so much fun. Imagine your dick. Does not make you. Does not make you. They don't find tickets. I think you're a nice woman. Hey, let me have that fetish. That turns me on. Now you turn me on.
My favorite girl, my favorite girl.
That's assault, brother.
The fact that Alex is not scared and just laughs at their idiocy drives these clowns nuts. And nobody should be scared of these people, by the way. But I do applaud him for controlling himself when he got spat out by that snowflake. It shows that the mental stability of this gentleman is amazing. He doesn't even flinch, unlike these woke people that get offended by everything.
What do you think about America?
I don't like America that much.
Why?
I think people there, that might sound controversial, but I think people there are very sensitive nowadays of every topic, and that kind of prevents the freedom of speech. Like, you're not able to say anything and people already jump on you and start insulting you. They don't really appreciate actually cultures mingling, if that makes sense. They call it a cultural appropriation, and I don't get that because I love many cultures, and if a foreigner person went to my country, wore my traditional clothes, and did everything I do traditionally in here, I would be really happy about it.
Well, that's good to see that there are still women like this that tell the truth. But we all know that Europe is also been woke for a long time.
I now identify as a fucking alien because I must live on a different fucking planet to everybody else. Black pudding is called black pudding because the colour of it is black. A blackboard at school's called a blackboard because it's black. Since when did it become a thing that now in nurseries you've got to ask a toddler when it's got a dirty nappy to wipe its bum? What's the toddler's response going to be? Sorry, no. What are you going to do? Leave the fucking bum dirty? Don't even get me started on nursery rhymes. You know that song you used to sing at school? Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. That's right. That's now cancelled. I don't even know why that one's cancelled. I don't even know what reason there is. And who remembers Thomas the Tank Engine? Who was your favourite character on there? Don't tell me it was not the Fat Controller. Well, guess what? The Fat Controller is no longer called the Fat Controller. Fuck!
First day, I had 25 students. By day 2, I had 19. Because 6 parents switched out of the class because they saw me.
4 days until Pride Month and our amazing Pride event with the Mill Valley District.
And they were like, there's no freaking way. Before I even got a word in.
I myself, as a non-binary individual, do not identify as transgender.
Do I think that it is okay for a parent to see me and go, not around my kid? No, I don't think that's okay.
Not only am I wearing makeup, but I got a t-shirt from downstairs. It's a crop top. You can't dress code me because I'm the teacher.
I feel like that's really crossing the line because you are, for lack of better words, discriminating against me openly. That's like seeing a black teacher and being like, there's no way. It is the same. It is the same.
You're perfect, honey. Hope this helps.
It's still the right of the parent to make that decision as to whether or not they want their child to learn from you.
Okay.
Like, it's still that parent's right. Like, you can disagree with their motivations, their motives, their ideas, but it's still their child.
Yeah, props to the last guy. I bet the teacher did not see it from that perspective. It's not your kid. Why do you have an issue with parents who don't want you to teach their kids? That's pretty fair in my opinion. If parents don't want you to teach their kids, it's their choice. And we all know that kids get influenced easily. And personally, I would not want my kids around that environment until they're old enough to make decisions for themselves.
Ziad, I use he, him pronouns, and I am Bangladeshi American.
And yeah, I just rolled my eyes. I'm glad the cameras caught it because I was like, it's just a natural reaction. And there's a lot of people who said that was rude, you shouldn't have done that, or you acted triggered. It's like, no, I didn't yell at him or whatever. But the truth is, the pronoun stuff is ridiculous, and I think ridiculous things need to to be ridiculed, right?
Need to respect women, period.
So you should respect women.
I'm sorry, I am a woman, so you if you don't think so. I don't really have time for this. And I don't have time.
My mistake.
You're going to let me speak because here's my truth. I've been 4 times. I've known women that have been multiple times. And how dare you sit up here and try to say that women aren't worth respect?
What's your profanity?
Didn't say that.
I am a woman. I just became a woman. It's just like, are you kidding me? People don't even respect me, period. And I'm already black, so it's just like, yeah, that already goes against me anyways. But still, you piece of living garbage ass dumpster fire trash gum on the bottom of my shoe. Oh my God, I wish I had a tissue for the blood. I would
Might I suggest it's your behavior? Not because you're black or a woman.
You complain about not being respected and you speak like that. No wonder you're not getting the respect that you want. All I can see is someone who knows how to be a professional victim. That's it.
You're not educating shit. This is fucking propaganda. What are you gonna do? Like anti-trans next? Is that what you're gonna do next?
I mean, no, we're talking about abortion.
This is bullshit. This is violent. You're triggering my students.
Oh, I'm sorry about that.
No, you're not. Because you can't even have a fucking baby. So you don't even know what that is. You don't even know what this is. Get this shit the fuck out of here, bro. Fuck this shit.
What a way to handle a disagreement or a conversation with another person. If this was the other way around, I'm sure that both of those guys would go to jail for assault. And yeah, she made herself look stupid by getting emotional like that.
So you can say whatever you want, but you need to also be ready for like the repercussions of what you say.
Okay, you're not free to say whatever you want if you get fired for an off-color joke.
Okay,
How will you feel when it's you who's out of step with the social mores of the
and
day?
then you get the repercussions of what you said.
I think you're still acting like this is something new, though. People have been fired.
Well, I'm not, but two wrongs don't make a right,
People have been fired for things that they've said for forever. But now we're seeing an era where if you're disrespectful or bigoted towards someone, you get fired for that. I don't see that as a bad thing.
But it's a lot more that's been caught up.
If it was up to these woke people to decide what's disrespectful and what's not, everyone would get fired from their job for just existing. I'm not joking, that's what I truly think is gonna happen. Because sometimes I see woke people like this get offended just by another person's existence. Isn't that absurd and ridiculous? But sadly, it's the world that we live in today.
My name is Luna, and I am a nationally registered advanced EMT here in the state of New Mexico. I am also transgender. I have responded to, by conservative estimates, about 1,500 calls for service. I have treated more transgender people than I can count.
You said you're an EMT. You're responding to a health emergency. Biological male is having a medical emergency, and they say to you, I think I'm having a miscarriage. Would you check them to see if they're having a miscarriage? Would you consider that a possibility for them?
No.
If spitting is assault, were the police officers behind her blind? If not, what are they here for? Guess if the man responds to the aggression, he will be considered the offender.
Been on the NHS website for a long time, and it's based on empirical evidence. It's not come out of nowhere. There's
empirical evidence, that's a really good saying, yeah.
But there's not more trans women breastfeeding. Do you know how many trans women are actually breastfeeding in this country?
How many?
James?
2 or 3.
None. Isn't it none?
There's probably none.
So why are we having this discussion and people getting upset about it?
That's what I wanted to bring to the table here, because what's happening is there's a concerted effort to bring stories like this into the media, and it functions basically to frame trans identity, trans people as a problem for society, which we aren't. But the second dangerous thing...
Yeah, but it's your fault that your people like you are making it a problem.
No, I'm not making it a problem.
Yeah, of course you are, because you moan all the time. You sort of get into conversations. You go online. I've seen some of your online criticisms of me. Makes me laugh, I have to be honest.
Well,
but
James,
you know, you carry on promoting this thing when nobody really cares.
It's called free speech, James.
No, it's not really, is it? Because you moan like mad about never being invited on the programme.
No, the reason I wanted to talk about it is because what it does, it diminishes women in the media as well. So
it doesn't diminish. What you mean, trans activists, you're admitting now, are diminishing women.
No, the story is. So what are the main complaints from women is, trans people are always talked about, trans women are always talking, we're always talking about them. But this story operates like that. It dehumanizes women as well. So
it needs to be talked about, doesn't it? If the NHS are talking about it.
It doesn't need to be talked about at all. If you are going from a transition to one sex to another. You can do it perfectly well. I've got friends who've done it, and they live as the opposite sex to the one they were born to. They're absolutely nice.
I absolutely agree with that, but I didn't bring the trans issue to the table. Somebody else brought it to the table, and I'm trans, so I'm here to talk about it.
Yeah, but it might happen.
The reason...
it might happen, though, so that's why it's being talked about. I mean, do you think it should happen?
If people like you ignored it, because I'm not talking to trans activists...
There's no way I'm going to ignore organisations like the Policy Exchange pushing things like this into the media. People like Toby Young pushing negative stories about trans people into... There's nobody backing me. Nobody's paying me to be here.
Well, because you're not that important.
No, well, maybe that's true, James, but I'm here because I care about this subject, and that is the only reason I'm here.
But you're saying this milk is fine. You're promoting the fact that trans men should do it.
No, that is not what I'm arguing.
What are you arguing?
I'm arguing about why this story is on the table. And
because it might happen, mightn't it, in the future?
Well, lots of things might happen.
Well, then we should discuss it before, so we know whether we should let it happen or not.
Yeah. But it's like the story you had on previously with Lindsay Smith. That's apocryphal. We know that she was calling trans people sexual predators on Twitter. I put that information on Twitter. Now, if somebody...
that's a ridiculous... Look, we're not talking about... We've already talked about that.
No,
so you want to talk about...
Let me just put this to you.
No,
Can I just put this to you?
Oh, go on, let her. And this is the last time I interview you because you are a pain in the backside, and I had to argue with me. Let her go on. I said, I don't want you on the programme. My show, and I'll decide who goes on it.
Okay, James. But
you moan like mad when you've been on it. You probably complain. You complain the whole time when you've been on because I don't agree with anything much you say. Yes, you do. You moan, and then you get in touch with the producer and say I wasn't treated.
Do you think they should be allowed?
Imagine being a grown-up and crying to get on a show you've been previously destroyed on. These individuals shouldn't be allowed anywhere near babies or small children.
I think people should be able to do what the hell they want with their own bodies.
But the baby doesn't get a choice, does it? The baby.
So are you implying that trans women are trying to harm babies? Because if you want
I don't know if it might harm babies because it has.
But
the NHS.
It's got the hormone might get into the baby, you know. I mean,
well, if I can just say what I wanted to say about this, because the reason these stories, they're not coming from nowhere. These stories, they're coming from lobby groups.
Listen, they're coming apparently from the NHS, who are saying these drugs.
No, it was always on the NHS website. It was always there. It was always there on the NHS website.
So what we're really saying is that you actually think that these sort of stories, fine, whatever's going on, they don't need to be in the public eye.
No, they don't.
And I think
so. We should put it under the carpet, is what you're saying? Brush it under the carpet.
But I believe it. I believe in free speech, right? So
you obviously don't.
I don't believe.
I don't think you understand what free speech is, by the way.
No, if I could, I don't believe that Lindsay Smith shouldn't stopped from going football games. I just don't think that should happen. But if you were part of a private members club, Ash, and somebody was tweeting from the river to the sea in private messages, how would you feel about that?
But this is the NHS, isn't it? This is all our service.
Forget going back to that. The NHS have said, I'll read it here, they have said they claim drug-induced milk from transgender women, who were men, is just as good as babies as women's breast milk. Well, it can't be because chest milk. Sorry, is that what you have to say?
You're not allowed
now?
to call it breast milk.
I'll call it what the bloody hell I want. And the fact is that nobody knows because nobody's been on this milk and brought up. They can never really know.
We can't deny that these ideologies are essentially conducting a mass experiment on our children. And that's not just irresponsible, it's dangerous.
And the fact is that nobody knows because nobody's been on this milk and brought up. They can never really know.
What do you think the substance is that's being produced?
I have no idea.
We don't know.
From the pituitary gland in the endocrine
Well, you said there was empirical evidence. Where's that from? What evidence is it?
The evidence is based on what is observed.
But what experiments? Name the institution.
Well, Ash, I've not looked at it in that much detail, but what I would say is...
Well, why haven't you looked at it before you start moaning about it? You've come on to defend this, to actually say there's nothing wrong with it.
I've come on to talk about the fact that trans women are facing a lot of hate online We've heard it from Brianna Jai's mother that she's trying to campaign to make social media a safer
Only
place.
because...
And these stories do not
Only
help.
because a section of the trans community...
I hate how they give everything different labels. Breast milk? No. It's chest milk now. Women and men? No. It's cisgender women and men now. It's one of the most detestable forms of child abuse I've heard. It's disgusting and utterly absurd.
Ma'am, don't assume my gender. Yeah, I don't do that.
Don't assume your gender. What are your pronouns then?
They and Z and princess.
Princess? Damn.
What are you?
An idiot sandwich.
Can you identify as a black person?
No,
Why?
because I'm not black.
I'm not a woman, but I can identify as a woman according to you.
If you transition, maybe.
What defines a transition?
If that's your goal, you know?
If you believe it.
Sure.
If you believe you're black, why aren't you black?
Well, that's just not, that's like genetics. That's like ancestry.
You're also born a man or a woman. It's the same thing. That's also genetics.
She was correct. She was not prepared for the whole comment.
Such crisis. I mean, the stats are like only 40% go to college. So they're losing out to women there in a big way. And women with degrees don't marry men who don't have degrees. So... Great, you'll be lonely forever, aren't you? Why are you cheering that? That's not...
We have a crisis among young men, and it starts at a young age. Young men are twice as likely on a behavior-adjusted basis to be suspended. 7 in 10 high school valedictorians are women. For every two female graduates from college in the next 5 years, you'll only have one. The scariest stat, walking down the avenue that is America, only 1 in 3 men under the age of 30 have had sex in the last year. And you hear sex and your brain fires, but the bottom line is, it's a key step to the elemental foundation of any society, and that is relationships. Young men aren't attaching to work, they aren't attaching to women, they aren't attaching to schools. Mating has been consolidated in the worst way. 50 men on Tinder, 50 women. 46 of the women show all of their attention to just 4 men, leaving 46 men pursuing just 4 women. If mating was a country, it would be more unequal than Venezuela. We have huge mating inequality, and here's the problem. When people don't get together and there's no pheromones and there's no vibe, women, and we don't like to say this on the left, primarily try and make very quick assumptions about this individual's ability to garner resources in the future. So what you have is this concentration of interest, and you're ending up with Porsche polygamy, where 10% of the men get 90% of the attention, which does not lead to good behavior or form long-term relationships. Online dating is disastrous for mating and for men. It's terrible.
Okay, that was a recent clip from Bill Maher on HBO. Really cool show. Gonna open it up to the panel. Your guys' reaction to that. I know there were a lot of talking points there, but your take, Natasha.
I think it is true that masculinity is in crisis. I see that, men are becoming more, they're becoming less, I don't know how to explain it. They're losing their drive for things. They're losing their drive to pursue women. They're losing their drive to achieve goals and go out into the world and be things. And they're consuming, bad food. They're consuming porn. It's just things that aren't contributing to their growth. And I think, I don't know, we're in an era of, girls want all the power and all that stuff. I don't know if that intimidates men. I don't know if that's a contributor to this, but I think we are, men are becoming more feminine and becoming, they're slacking. We need to kick it up a notch.
Kirkland Andrew Tate, the guy that we reacted to. That's funny. Go ahead.
Honestly, I really don't give a rat's ass if the male species is depleting. Okay.
What?
You guys have had your time to shine. If you guys want to get better, you guys can do that yourselves, but I'm not going to get you out of the slump. Sorry.
Okay.
Sorry, it's just I don't really care. That's on you guys. If you guys aren't working or not going to college, then I don't know how to fix that. I am. So I don't know why you aren't.
What do you think of men?
I love men, I love...
But didn't you just say you didn't care if all the men diminish?
Yeah, no, I don't. It doesn't affect me.
Do you have a brother?
No, I have a dad though.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't really care. Like I just don't care about guys. You guys aren't really here for me. So.
What do you mean by that?
Like, I don't really need
into the microphone.
So sorry. I don't really need a guy to like. I don't need a guy in my life. It's fun if I have one, but if I'm not gonna try and make you guys better, you guys can do that on yourselves. Like, does that make sense? I don't know.
It's kind of like what Cher said, if that makes any sense. It's like, I love men. Like, I think men are the coolest, but I don't need them to survive.
Yeah.
But like,
Actually,
I love men.
I have to come in on this. You do actually need men to survive. And here's why. Everything that you see around you was built and created and maintained by men.
Okay.
Everything. The infrastructure in this country, in every single...
If women were oppressed before, the idea that now men deserve to suffer and women can stand aside as some type of revenge is horrific and borderline psychopathic.
Brought you out here?
Fighting fascists.
Fascists, nice.
Yeah.
I'm against fascism too.
Yeah. Nazis suck.
Nazis,
so
I
does
agree.
Christofascism.
Christians?
Christofascists.
Such as?
Do you not know what Christofascism is?
Please define that for me.
It's when someone takes the religion, like Christians take religion such as Christianity to apply hate on the marginalized communities.
What would you consider hate?
What would you consider hate?
Well, hate's a very strong word, and I think preserving children's innocence is a lot different than hate.
In what regard are you talking about? Because absolutely, children deserve to grow up in a nice, enriching environment with their innocence preserved.
Yeah, I agree. But the issue is like drag queens, the reason they're being targeted is because it's inherently sexual. You won't, because I'm the one leading this conversation. It's inherently sexual.
Youth exists. Queer families exist. It's a very safe, enriching environment.
So can I ask you, why do you think the suicide rate is so high for the LGBT?
Children wants to. The Trevor Project states that queer suicide rates are at an all-time high.
Yeah, but the question is why.
We're having laws.
If we could get to the root of why, I think we would be changing minds.
Queer people. These laws are killing people. Do you pray for queer people?
I do.
Do you love queer people?
I do.
Do you know Jesus would hate what the fuck you're doing right now?
You just cursed. Jesus would not like that.
Jesus actually loves everyone.
He does.
Jesus loves me no matter if I curse. Jesus loves me if I'm queer.
He does, but the difference is you won't be accepted into the kingdom of God.
Children.
Jesus loves everyone.
Jesus says trans rights.
Jesus loves everyone. So Mark 16:15 says, go out into the world and preach the gospel to all of creation. That's what I'm doing. So Jesus...
If they get their pronouns, then I want my adjectives. Anyone who sees me must address me as intelligent, and sexy failure to do so would be bullying and killing me. Oh, yeah, and you'd be labeled a Nazi too.
Like Bruce Jenner, for example, or Caitlyn Jenner now, for example.
Did you just
successful
dead name?
Successful athlete, Olympian, whatever, all this
Guy in
stuff.
the Wheaties box.
Was married to Kris Jenner, had a life of whatever. Unless she truly believed that and felt that deep inside of her core, she ultimately ruined her life for basically a whole decade.
No, he became much more relevant and famous than he was.
I highly
Obviously,
disagree.
he was on magazine covers.
Well,
Everybody
he
was
got
talking
way
about
more
him.
She's been on magazine covers. She's an Olympian. That's not. She's not on. She's not on.
He was an
covers
Olympian
'cause
many
she's
decades
trans.
ago. No,
but
exactly. He was on a magazine cover for the first time in decades.
But
because
after
he
she
pretended
came
to be a woman.
out as transgender, she got way more hate.
Exactly.
And she got
the only thing
ruined
worse than being talked
relationships.
about is not being
But
talked
she probably
about. That's
made
how
more
show business
money.
works.
But no, she.
Okay,
she
so
lost a
take
lot of
away. Okay,
relationships.
But the
sorry.
reason he
Take
did
away
that-
Caitlyn Jenner.
Do you know why? The
Okay, no,
reason-
hold on. Put on your basic day-to-day person. Okay, you're not gonna like this one. Okay. No, not you. You, for example. Okay, there's people like you who are super conservative, right in their
Handsome.
views and stuff, and then.
Charming.
They wake up and they want to be a woman.
But is it because they just woke up and want to be a woman, or is it because they finally found the courage to
maybe
come out with
there's
something
probably-
they've been suppressing their whole lives? I just don't understand why you guys think somebody would risk. Like, yes, I'm sure some people can benefit from coming out as trans, but most people do not benefit from that. So why would somebody risk their whole livelihood, not even just career, but literally especially black
because they
trans
have a
people.
sexual fetish. Because they have a
Also, why
disordered
does it
sexual
bother
desire.
you?
I
feel like why does it bother people?
Because it isn't true.
But why does it
Like,
bother
why
you?
is
It's
that?
not
Yeah.
harming you. It's not hurting anyone.
Well, it
like,
is harming
they're just-
society.
So
a
do
lot.
you go
I mean,
around? Do you go around fighting
because-
people who think the world's flat? Do you go around
You're like,
fighting
you're
them?
harming society.
No, well, because in the case of transgenderism and this ridiculous idea that men can secretly be women and vice versa, there are very practical effects that we see. Like, for instance, if
It's
we
pushed
accept
onto
this,
children.
Yeah, well, it's obvious. It's pushed onto children. We're castrating children left and right, which is insane. But also, if we accept transgenderism at all, even for one single adult person, that means that certain things will change in society. Women don't get to
Maybe
have their own
things
bathrooms
need to
anymore.
change.
Women don't get to have, well, perhaps, but at least one could have the debate. Women don't get to have their own bathrooms. Women don't get to have their own sports teams. Women don't get to have their own specific rights and places in society. Protections in civil rights law, they lose that because some men can say that they're women. And so it seems to me the obvious question.
The scariest part is that she doesn't realise she's harming instead of helping women as a whole with her delusional opinions.
Construed as antinatalist is as under the classification of antinatalism, then sure, I guess I can.
Well, what else is it?
It's a human rights issue. It's a healthcare issue. I don't think any woman.
No, I mean, what else is antinatalism?
Oh, what else? To me, the way I think of it is like an ideology. Are you
What is
saying
the
it's-
ideology for?
What do you mean?
Isn't the ideology to stop reproduction?
To me, antinatalism would be, like an ideology that it
Well,
is better
then
to.
abortion stops reproduction.
But it's not an ideological thing.
Oh,
Like,
it's
it's better to have fewer children.
Of course it is. Of course it's an ideological thing.
No, I think that the people who are fighting for abortion rights are not fighting for it because we should curtail reproduction. I think it's because whether you agree with this or not, women
because they don't want the
women will die.
responsibility of children.
No, because women will die. They'll get unsafe abortions.
There's very few women who have to deal with a pregnancy which is life-threatening. Very few.
That is not true. I do not think that's true.
The majority of abortions are not done due to life-threatening pregnancies.
I can agree with you that the majority
Well, that's
of
what I
abortions
meant.
aren't. But
I'm sorry.
Sure.
So, but even then, the majority of pregnancies, no, are not life-threatening. Just
Not
so you know.
life-threatening, but-
But also on the abortion front, no, very few abortions have anything to do with the mother saving the mother's life. Almost none, in fact.
Yeah,
They're
but
the exception to the rule.
I'm saying the people who are promoting, arguing for it, these feminist think tanks are not.
They want it up to 9 months.
They're not, but they're not coming at it with the ideology.
What else could they be coming at it with if they
Women's
want an abortion
healthcare.
at 9 months? That's not health care.
Autonomy, the right to choose things along
That's
those lines.
all
Feminism
but that's what
things.
antinatalism, the ideology, is about. It's about
autonomy
It's
and a
about
woman's right to
reducing the
choose.
burden on women and on society from other human beings. It's a reduction of the burden. It requires necessarily that you reduce the population. Of course, abortion's antinatalist. Of course, the pill is antinatalist. All of these things are antinatalism. There's no, I don't know how you would argue.
I mean,
that.
maybe that's just my misunderstanding of what antinatalism is.
Yeah.
Just one question on the abortion topic.
Yeah.
Do you think that is there a cutoff for you in terms of when women can get abortion? Should it be up until the point of right up until birth, or what's your position there?
No, I would say the cutoff for me would be at the point where
viability
delivering is an option.
Okay.
If there is a, for instance, if there was a medical emergency, preeclampsia, something like that, if the child can actually be delivered, I would say in that case that you should default to delivery. But there are children.
But would
who are
you consider it murder if you didn't?
No.
No. Well, then why? So then what's? I don't understand this. Maybe you can help me out with this.
Yeah.
Why is it, other than just, I don't know, some preference for ick, that if I ask you if the law says they can get an abortion at 7 months, you say, no, I prefer that they have it then. I go, okay, but let's assume the law says that they don't have to. Do you consider that murder? You say no. How is that not?
I think that murder is the taking of the life of a person, and I really don't think you have personhood until after birth.
Even at 9 months?
Yeah, I mean, I would
Do
say
you have to go through the canal? Like, what if
yeah.
what if your head doesn't quite crown and they just put a shotgun up there? Like,
I would
not
like to see that happen. No, I think once their head is out of the canal, yes.
That a fetus is not a baby while pretending that a man can be a woman. Psychosis. The reality checks we've seen today are just the beginning. From social media meltdowns to real-world wake-up calls, the facade is cracking. Have you got your own exposure story? Drop it below. Hit subscribe for more unfiltered reality. The truth won't expose itself. See you next time.